always look for the nice light at sunrise or sunset, so I like to just go and be out there all day and happen on nature. This place we're at right now, Cypress Island Preserve, can be totally different tomorrow morning at this time and totally different again the next morning. So it's always a surprise. You could follow the Weather Channel all you want, but until you get out here and snap the shutter, you don't know what you're going to get. I say there's good sunrises and great sunrises, and most of them are great at Cypress Island. If you have good composition and good light, you're going to have a good photograph. A lot of photographers will just come out and see a flower or a bird and snap a shot and leave, but you really have to get to know them and stay out there to get that right moment, the right light. As the world gets more digitalized, and with these thousands of TV channels, a lot of people spend a little bit too much time indoors, I think. Get away from the phone in your hand for a few minutes and take a canoe trip or a hike. Just so many places where you can enjoy nature. That's so important to us all.
The dough is mixed, run through a roller, cut into pieces, and hand-rolled into bread-sized portions. It's not until daybreak that the first trays of French bread are loaded into the oven. The warm smell of fresh bread spreads along Main Street in Jeanerette. This morning ritual dates to 1884, when the Lejeune family opened the bakery.
The first generation, it went to a nephew. The second generation went to a nephew. The third generation went to a son. The fourth generation was a son, and I'm a son, so I'm the fifth generation to run it. This is one loaf of bread.
Matt Lejeune says he started working here at age 7.
I used to push the pedal on the dough break years ago.
The business was originally called Old Reliable Bakery. It had the first motorized vehicle in Jeanerette in 1901. The same year, the local priest dedicated the bakery's oven. That was 12 years before they paved Main Street. And except for a motorized mixer, very little has changed in the past 130 years.
There's an easier way to do it. You can machine it. The dough is not the same. It comes out different. Our process is the same. Our ingredients are the same. You figure if it's not broken, don't fix it.
They'll start mixing dough as early as 1 o'clock in the morning. And on a typical day, they'll bake as many as 2,000 loaves of French bread and other types of buns. The bookkeeping is handled by Matt's mother, Loretta Lejeune, who finally had to get a computer for invoicing and online orders.
We had to have one. We had to have it to survive. I mean, everything is done today on computer.
The rest of the office looks like an antique flea market.
In the beginning, they delivered bread by horse and buggy, and they would go from house to house, and the story goes that the horse knew the route so well, he knew what homes to stop at.
When large supermarkets came to town decades ago, the Lejeunes made a decision not to modernize. They took a cut in sales and stuck with their handmade quality.
We like our bread the way it is, so we continue. It's labor intense, but it's the best French bread around.
The Lejeunes are hopeful that there will be a 6th generation to carry on this tasty family tradition. With the heart of Louisiana, Dave McNamara, Fox 8 News. Hours earlier, as the sun was setting on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula and Central America, millions of small songbirds were taking flight on a non-stop crossing of the Gulf of Mexico. Wave after wave of migrating birds struggled through storms and strong headwinds of a late-season cold front, passing offshore drilling platforms, shrimp trawlers, and shorebirds before finally reaching land at Grand Isle.
On the peak of bird migration, which is about late April, about 2.5 million birds a day are passing through South Louisiana on their way to their breeding grounds.
On a day like this, Grand Isle experiences a fallout of birds that fill the few dozen acres of thick coastal forests.
They've been just flying nonstop for 18 hours. So they land here on Grand Isle. It's a beautiful day today, lots of insects out. And they just pack on as much food as they can so that they can reaccumulate the energy that they need to continue that journey northward.
Eric Johnson leads a team of volunteers with the Louisiana Audubon Society who are catching and banding the traveling birds.
Maybe last night even, he flew across the Gulf.
Neighborhood school kids look on in amazement, watching the brightly colored tropical birds as they are banded, weighed, and inspected before being released back into the wild.
He's ready to go, he's ready to go, he's going.
Bye-bye, birdie.
We want to understand the long-term survivorship of birds, and we can use banded birds to help us understand pathways of migration.
See how his little heart is racing? And off he goes.
These groves of oak trees were called cheniers by the early French settlers, and they provide an oasis, a sort of full-service rest stop for the migrating birds. Grand Isle's trees are alive with the sounds of countless birds that are well camouflaged in thick clusters of leaves.
It's the only surviving inhabited barrier island with the hackberries and the live oaks. And here on Grand Isle, we have some live oaks that are almost 500 years old.
The Nature Conservancy owns and manages all of the undeveloped forested land on Grand Isle.
It protects the homes, protects the wildlife, protects our businesses. These trees hold this island together.
After their spring migration north, these birds return in the fall to this last stop before crossing the Gulf for their winter homes in the tropics. And during those migrations, you can walk the old trails through this Grand Isle forest and surround yourself with the sights and sounds of these small, colorful birds. With the heart of Louisiana, Dave McNamara, Fox 8 News.